What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with some Destiny 2 news and updates, and in this one, Bungie do give us details about the next patch for Destiny 2, as well as a couple of changes that we're going to see soon, so we'll round up the next update, but on top of that we've got some other words from Bungie regarding future updates for Destiny and the Crucible, and Bungie discussed some updates that we're going to see later on in the spring of this year. But we'll also talk about Destiny 2 skins in The Last of Us Remastered, Season of the Wish Easter eggs, some new secrets, Prime Gaming rewards, and a bunch of other things in the video. So, as always guys, I hope you enjoy this one, and if you do, a rating below very much helps us out, but now, let's get into it. And so first up today, we have some updates from Bungie, and this one tips us off about the next update for Destiny 2 as well. So, Bungie Help have said that they're investigating an issue where the fix in 7305 for Warlord totem spawning has negatively affected all totem spawns in the Warlord's Ruin dungeon, and the fix will be reverted in January 23rd's update, but on top of that, they're continuing to investigate a new fix for a future update for the dungeon specifically. So, I'm not actually certain what the issue inside of the dungeon is itself, but the recent fix which has caused more drama will be undone next week. And of course it will also be interesting to see what other changes we'll get in the update next Tuesday, so potentially a couple of other useful ones right there, and as always I will keep you posted. Up next though, the Destiny 2 team said that Momentum Control will return to the rotator for Crucible on January 30th, and players have pointed out that it hasn't been around for quite some time, so that's one to keep an eye out for. And then following the changes to Checkmate that Bungie implemented last week, they did say for anyone worried that the changes to Checkmate will permanently change a fun mode you enjoy, we want to clarify our intentions for the current round of Checkmate tune-in, and it would appear that this has wider implications for the Crucible in general. So they've said, while it's not our intention to make the original Checkmate into the core PvP experience, we are experimenting with the current iteration of Checkmate to gather data, lessons, and feedback that we can use to eventually tune the base PvP sandbox. And this relates to stuff like primary weapon balance, special ammo economy, and ability uptime, and they say these are easier to alter in a single modifier, which gives us the freedom to iterate quickly. And the goal of the changes is to make a more skilled, deliberate sandbox that retains the Destiny magic. And then beyond that, later in the season, once we've tuned the base PvP sandbox, we will continue developing Checkmate as a standalone modifier, and we plan to lean further into the identity as a more tactical gunplay focused mode, going back to no starting special and a higher reduction of abilities. But they finish by saying more changes are coming to the Crucible, and if you want to help shape the future of PvP, the best way is to start participating in Crucible labs and give feedback on what you enjoy and what you don't. So there are a couple of interesting things there. The long-term plan is to return Checkmate back to a more tactical gunplay-focused mode, but they're saying they're using it right now to more quickly test out different sandbox tunings and weapon iterations, as it's easier to implement those changes into Checkmate. And the goal is that this will inform changes for the base PvP sandbox, which they also confirm is something that we'll see later this season. Of course, we've got a few months left to the final shape, but that indicates that Bungie are planning to do a significant sort of tuning pass for Crucible in general at some point before the final shape drops. So that in itself is a positive, I suppose. Hopefully, at least, we'll see what changes we get. Obviously, Bungie have spoken about Checkmate quite a bit, but I thought this was worth highlighting, considering the way that they're using this to sort of implement changes into the wider Crucible at some point down the road. So share any thoughts you have about that. On top of that though, another quick mention here, and apparently The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered has skins referencing Destiny and a bunch of other games. And so there are t-shirts in the game for Killzone, Death Stranding, Mortal Kombat, and Destiny, and we can see the Destiny one right here. Obviously not a major thing, but just something interesting, and of course it may be most intriguing for anyone who plans to play that remaster, so I'll link an article with more details about that down below. Otherwise, this week we finally got the very last Catalyst refit for the Star-Crossed mission and the Wishkeeper bow, and of course that's the Hatchling refit. But it also meant we finally got to go through the portal at the end of the mission, which takes us into this cool kind of hidden room inside of the back garden. And of course we unlock the emblem, the well-tended garden. And interestingly, we have the Ishtar Collective icon hidden in this chamber as well. There's a bunch of lore about Ishtar Collective researchers being stimulated by the Vex in real time inside of the Vex network. I don't know a whole lot more about the lore than that, but it does indicate potential continued goings-on in that story thread. And who knows, it could even be a teaser to some of the episode content that we're going to see after the final shape, where Bungie have said that the Vex will play a more significant role once again beyond the next expansion, so could potentially link to that, but we'll just have to wait and see. In other news though, and related to the Star-Crossed mission and the Wishkeeper's exotic catalysts, Destiny Bulletin did share, for those unaware, the constellations collected during the Wishkeeper catalyst quests are visible in the ceiling on the helm. And so in the room where Morro is, when you look up, each of those constellations is now visible, which is pretty cool. On top of that though, they point out that the latest Prime Gaming bundle is now available, and it includes a new emblem called Calyx Summus, as well as the Keep It Clean emote, SK1 Rover Sparrow, as well as the Warlock Shell Ghost and the Wake the Dragon projection. So if you want to pick up any of those, or if you have access to Prime Gaming and Amazon Prime, you can connect that to your Destiny account and unlock some additional loot, so I'll link that in the description box down below. Otherwise though, a couple of final things to mention, and Destiny Bulletin said it's been nearly 3 years since Bungie announced that it's expanding the Destiny universe into additional media, and Bungie indicated the possibility of Destiny TV or film projects, but of course we haven't heard anything more about them in recent times, so especially given that Sony now own Bungie, it's definitely something a lot of players are curious about. Is this something that Bungie is still working on for the future? Or who knows, it could even be a scrapped project at this point, but I would hope to get more updates about that at some point soon from Bungie, so share any thoughts you have below. Interestingly though, it was also 5 years ago last week that Bungie announced its split from Activision, which gained them full rights to publish the Destiny IP. It's crazy how quickly time has passed. Seems like only yesterday really that we were hearing that news. And there's an interesting contrast of sort of success stories for Bungie in the time since then. Of course, we've had major expansions like Witch Queen, which are considered to be some of the best content that Destiny's ever had, and that was produced entirely by Bungie without the help of Activision Studios or indeed their publishing arm. And then equally, we've had expansions like Lightfall and the year that followed, where it's safe to say the Destiny community have far fewer fond memories of that content. So when we also consider the news that we've heard in recent months about Bungie layoffs, the potential jeopardy of Bungie as a studio and the franchise Destiny moving forward, it's certainly interesting those ups and downs that Bungie have had in general with Destiny, but also in the time since they became an independent publisher for the game, and their ultimate return to being in a partnership with a much bigger gaming publisher. Once again, it should be a very interesting year ahead as we head into Lightfall and we see what happens beyond that. So as always, you can expect me to keep you up to date with that stuff. But for today guys, that's the news video. So as always, I hope this one has been interesting, and if it has, a rating below very much helps us out on the channel. Also be sure to get subscribed, and I'll do my best to keep you posted with more Destiny content. We're also going to get the return of Twid this week, so I'm curious to see what Bungie have to say there. Keep it locked and loaded and share any thoughts you have on the content from the video today. But otherwise guys, I appreciate you tuning in, and I will catch you all very soon.
We are apex predators of the highest order. The instincts that rest in your bones speak louder than I ever could. But what I leave you is what these solids, these humans, might leave their brood. Cold, hard facts. I do so because there have never been Ahamkara like you. Many paths lie ahead. The garden of your conception grows in many directions. You are children of light and dark, in many meanings and none. You may be all that remains. Choose your path wisely. Everything has a cost.
So this message was meant for her progeny. I leave a decree to the paladins and corsairs. These stars are not to be touched until they are found by those for which they are intended. Perhaps Riven meant to entrust me with them. Perhaps not. But I will bear responsibility for her brood. Come what may.